Could we all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. This meeting is being live streamed by Chelmsford Telemedia and posted to the CPS website for interested community members to access and watch. In-person public participation will be taking place tonight in accordance with the Chelmsford School Committee Public Participation Policy. Anyone speaking tonight during the public input portion of this meeting has notified the Superintendent's Office of the desire to speak and has been provided with these guidelines. Upon request, written comments received no later than 12 p.m. on the day of this meeting will also be read and made part of the record of the meeting during the second public comment session. So welcome to this meeting of the Chelmsford School Committee. We don't have any minutes, so our first order of business is to welcome our new student reps. I want to introduce them, Superintendent.
Yes, sure. So we have two student reps with us here tonight. Should we start with Patrick?
Yes,
So
sir.
Patrick is our newest member. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, sir. Hi, everyone. I'm Patrick. I'm currently a sophomore at CHS. I'm big into sports. I do cross country, track, and rugby. And I'm also involved in Best Buddies, Unified Basketball, and class reps. I've been living in Chelmsford for a while now. And I'm just very excited and honored to have this position. And yeah, I'm just excited for what the next meetings will have. Yeah, thank you.
Great. Well, welcome aboard.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
And we have our returning star, Lana.
Hi, everyone. I'm back. I'm a senior now. What else should I say? You guys know me. So.
Great school start.
Yeah,
So
school's been
excited.
super fun and awesome. Tomorrow there's a girls' field hockey game home. Everyone should go. Doing a little self-promo. I'll be home at 6 against Lowell, so everyone
Nice.
wants to go. And school's been good so far, senior year. So
You excited for senior year?
yes, an internship and all the fun activities.
It'll go fast.
Yeah. And I'm so happy Patrick's here. It was a competitive spot. So many people ran for the school committee student rep, and he got it. So
Thank you.
Awesome.
it's a huge
Great.
accomplishment.
Congratulations.
Well, welcome aboard.
Great.
Any good news?
I'm going to share good news. I don't think we had anything prepped.
Okay. All right.
Just, yeah, nothing special.
All right. Anybody else have any good news they want to share? Anything at the schools besides?
We have some good news. So to start off the year, the class of 2025 hosted a senior sunrise for the seniors on their first day of school. The event was held on the plateau, and there was bagels, and coffee was donated by the Country Creamery and Coffee House. And then tonight is the high school's open house, and it's taking place as we speak, and it goes until 8:30. Student organizations are also fundraising there, and they'll be selling pizza, drinks, and baked goods to those attending. And then our CAF is still under renovation, which will hopefully be done and completed by the end of October. Currently, seniors have been eating in our learning commons, and the underclassmen have been eating in the two CAFs.
Yeah, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised because we're running ahead of schedule.
Oh.
So it'll be much, much sooner.
Okay.
I don't want to give away the date, but it'll be much sooner.
We'll keep it a secret.
All right. Anybody else?
I have some.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, so this year's craft fair already has a set date. It will be on November 17th, right before the holidays. The craft fair this year will be held in the gymnasium, so there'll be extra space for everyone to move around. Additionally, fall sports have already started, and clubs have, with people able to register for activity cards. And the late buses will start on the week of November 7th. Also, Pride Blocks have officially started today on Tuesdays, and students will have Pride Block every Tuesday and Thursday, along with now every other Wednesday, which I'm very happy about because I love Pride Block. And on top of all that, there will be a half day tomorrow on September 18th, which I'm also
that's right.
excited for.
Remind me, what's Pride Block is which one? What do you do in Pride Block?
So Pride Block's the one where you can book, what teacher you want to see. It could be enrichment or it could be extra help. So you really have a choice of what you want to do.
So that's great. You appreciate that opportunity?
Yes, I love Pride Block.
That's terrific.
Yeah,
And half days.
I love that.
All right,
So,
great.
I'm going to make one observation that I think
absolutely.
is really good news, which was when Patrick was welcomed, Lana welcomed him and said how competitive it was and so on. And I think that that's just absolutely wonderful, both for you and for Patrick, that you did that. And it just shows that at Chelmsford High, we're raising really good leaders. Yay.
Thank you very much.
Great. All right, anybody else have any comments? Okay, speaking of comment, we're now to our first public input session. Is there anybody registered to speak? Okay.
No.
All right, we'll move on to new business.
We're going to jump right to new business, and I'm not going to steal Linda's thunder. We're going to let her take these first couple of introductions. We announced them over the summer, but the individuals are here tonight with us. So I'll
Yes, we're
turn it
going
over
to
to Linda.
welcome up. So we have two of our new department coordinators. This summer, you did receive a memo, which I believe was repeated in this packet for tonight,
Correct.
giving you at least their background. So we have Catherine Richard, who is here from, she originally was at Andover Public Schools, but we brought her over to Chelmsford. We're going to get her some maroon. I'm going to move the blue over. And she's going to be coming over to Chelmsford. She's our new math coordinator, who has been with us since, 3 weeks now, 4 weeks? Okay, 6. We'll give her 6 weeks. And we have Dr. Danya Mahoney, who's been with us all summer, and she is the new World Language and Cultural Exchange Department Coordinator. So they've been really brought around the district, learning all the names, the who, what, where, when, and why, how Chelmsford works, and they're here tonight because you might have some more additional questions for them.
It's always good to put a name with a face, too. We're very excited to have you guys join us and welcome you to town.
Anybody have questions or?
There's no way that they can just come to the meeting for 2 seconds. We're going to have to ask some questions here.
Okay, do you have any questions?
This is it. Oh, okay, so what do you, you've only been here a short time.
Yes.
So I don't want to, ask you things that really you need more time in order to explore and so on. But we started a new math curriculum last year. What your thoughts on it so far, and what do you think?
Well, I was familiar with Reveal Math before I came to Chelmsford, so that's a good start.
Yeah.
I think it's a great program. It really emphasizes teaching the conceptual understanding first, and that's a big thing for kids in math. So I think you did well. You picked a good program, so I'm really excited to work with the teachers and continue to implement it over the next 2 or 3 years as they get more familiar with it. They're still learning, but they've really taken to it, and I think that they are enjoying it. So I think that's very positive.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
I'll stick with a math question. I know we have these new math coaches, we call them math coaches?
Math
How's
specialists.
that working out? Is it a model that seems to be, do we need to tweak anything at this point? I know it's new, so.
Yeah, so it is new, and I'm meeting regularly with a math specialist, and they are awesome. Again, you did well. You picked some really strong candidates there. Right now, we're supporting teachers in open houses, so we provided some handouts for the teachers to give to parents. We are really just trying to get to know the teachers because you really can't work with teachers until you build a relationship with them. So especially at the math specialist level, they really have to build those relationships first. So we're just being available. We're creating some kind of supporting documents for the teachers over the year. We'll be working on those things. So it's a new position for them. It's a new position for the district. So together, we're kind of figuring it out. But I think we're having great success. We've been in every building. The teachers have met with the principal. The math specialists have met with the principals. Last week, I observed a math class with the math specialist. So, we're really trying to be present and visible for the teachers and supporting them in any which way that they need. We have a lot of new teachers at Central, so we're really trying to support them as well.
Danny, you had a question?
Yeah, I actually had a question for, am I saying your name right?
Danya.
Danya Mahoney. I'm curious, so obviously you're new here at Chelmsford and still getting a feel for what's happening here. But I'm curious, you have pretty significant experience in world languages broadly. And I'm curious what your thoughts are on beginning world language acquisition in 7th grade. And is that the right time for students to begin learning a language?
Philosophically, I think learning a second language is great at birth. But
Right.
realistically, in the schools, I think that we're using the model that is most effective in most public schools.
That
And
was kind of my
it's-
question.
Yeah,
I know
it's
ideal
really
already.
difficult to bring world language to younger grades unless we have
a lot more access to high-quality teachers. The teacher pipeline right now for world language is really not great. There's not a lot of really highly qualified language teachers. And so we're bringing in a new curriculum with the Wayside materials with Entre Culturas, Entre Cultur. We have the ASL program. So we have some really great programs that are already in place to support our world language, our students in world language acquisition. And with that implementation and the new world language frameworks that were rolled out by the state a couple of years ago, we have a lot of work that we're doing right now to move forward with proficiency in the grades that we have.
Other questions? Yeah.
It's really interesting to see that your bachelor's is from Grinnell.
Yes.
Not too many people I meet that went to Grinnell, and I know
Almost
somebody
nobody
who's
knows
there
where.
now. It's a very liberal arts type of school in the middle of Iowa,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, and it was tiny back in the day. I mean, it's still pretty small, I think, but it was tiny back in the day.
And it's amazing because you have quite a background in very classical languages too. And as you said, one of the key things right now is finding teachers for world languages. What do you think we as a district can do to, continue looking for the good teachers and folks who maybe something we're not doing, or just, keeping an eye open to see what else we can do to attract really good teachers?
I think in high school and middle and high school teaching, the hiring process really needs to start as early as possible so we can get the most qualified teachers. A lot of skilled teachers really just focus on hiring in the spring and taking the summer to prep for their new jobs. And so any kind of delay in that process can really slow down the hiring process and finding the best candidates. The other thing that I think is always useful is building up relationships with schools like UMass Lowell. Boston University has a world language MAT program. Salem State has a really great Spanish teaching program. So building up those relationships. And also I know that the world language coordinator for the state, his name is Andy McDonough, and he's the world language coordinator for the Office of Language Acquisition for DESE, is very interested in promoting that teacher pipeline. So continuing to work and reach out with him so that we're always thinking a couple of steps ahead, that we're trying to think through creative ideas and supporting teachers as they enter the world language teachers as they enter the profession, and supporting the teachers we have so they have as much training and support as possible.
That's great. Thank you. Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I have one more for you again. I am curious. So I know you're new here, but for me, I think I know that our district increasingly has students who speak languages other than English at home, and I'm curious if in your early weeks here, you feel like the needs of those students and the assets that they bringing sometimes not an academic understanding of those languages, but conversational skills with some of the languages that they or their peers are learning in school. Are those assets being kind of leveraged and addressed through the way that students are acquiring languages?
So there's a lot of languages that are represented in the district. So we have a couple of great things happening. There are some clubs that are real affinity organizations with students from different perspectives and language origins. So that's a really exciting opportunity. Connecting with students with their heritage languages is really valuable. And we have the Massachusetts State Seal of Biliteracy. I have a big sticker on my door in the Learning Commons that says the Massachusetts State Seal of Biliteracy. And the number of students who've just checked in with me to say, hey, I saw this, I'd like to learn more. I had a really lovely conversation with a young woman yesterday who was interested in Mandarin. The Seal of Biliteracy is an amazing opportunity that the state has moved forward with. And students who earn that seal after taking a proficiency test, they earn the seal upon graduation. They can earn 12 credits at most state universities, including this year for the first time UMass Amherst. So now that all of the state schools are recognizing the seal of biliteracy with 15 credits for earning the seal, 12 credits for earning the seal, 15 for earning the seal with distinction, that really highlights the opportunities and skills that students bring from their home cultures. So there are many ways that we can support them that are not just within the languages that we teach in our program. And even just in speaking with the young lady yesterday, I encouraged her she's a junior, so I encouraged her to make sure that she's practicing her reading and her writing, the skills that she may not be practicing every day at home because she's speaking and listening, but building up those modalities so that they're really skilled when it comes time to take the test and then take full advantage of the opportunities they bring with them with their own unique cultures.
Thank you both. It's nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? All right, well, thank you both for being here. Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
I'm sure we'll see you in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. It's always good to just put a name with a face, and so you'll see them around the buildings this school year. All right, moving up next, third item on the agenda this evening is Tess is here from District Management Group to provide a little bit of an implementation review as we get going into our third year of the strategic plan work. First 2 years have already gone by quickly, and we're entering year 3. So Tess is going to walk through kind of our initial thinking at this point. We've made some adjustments to some of our targets based on the 2 years of data we've had, updated some of our initiatives, but obviously within the constructs of the 5 different focus areas of the plan. So Tess, welcome aboard.
Great.
And turn it over to you.
Great. Good evening, everyone. And I know most of you pretty well by now, but not the student rep. So my name is Tess. I'm from District Management Group, and we're an organization that partners with public school districts on a variety of topics. So I've been working with Chelmsford over the past 3 years now on the strategic plan. So I'll give just, we go through this every time I'm here, twice a year for anyone who's watching as well. Have a team of district, school leaders, and school committee members who guide this work on each of the priority areas and are responsible for monitoring progress throughout the year. Same implementation approach we will take this year as last year and years past. So as Jay said, we took some of August and this month to review the goals, finalize a set of initiatives, and start to build out those action plans, and then we'll track and monitor progress throughout the year. As a reminder, we have that, so of course, Jay and Linda really are the leaders of this work, but we have that steering committee that you saw, and then many other folks on district and school leadership teams representing the other priority area subcommittees. So I think in total there's probably like 40 people involved in this over the course of the year, of course, then trickling down to the schools. We meet every 6 weeks. We'll continue to do that to monitor progress, and this is a great way to ensure that each 5 priority areas are not working in silos, but that every district leader, school leader across the district understands how priority areas fit together and can problem solve as needed. So that's the overview of where we are. Going to spend the majority of this evening's discussion on the implementation part, so those initiatives and action steps aligned to the goals. I'm not going to read this to you, but always like to ground in the mission and vision of the district. So what do you commit to every single day, your mission, and then what are your aspirations for the district and students? Your theory of action again, so this is really focused on who are the critical stakeholders in the district and the role they play in achieving that vision. So of course, direction from central office, principals creating conditions in their buildings to have a welcoming environment, and teachers teaching great every day to each and every student. So going into the 5 priority areas, and we'll go through this same structure that we have been using in the past couple of updates. So I'll start with academic achievement. There's a lot here, and I know you have it in front of you, but just want to orient you. As Jay said, we are 2 years into the 5-year strategic plan, so we have 3 years left. This is a very natural point in the strategic plan to revisit the goals, to see, okay, what progress have we made? What do we need to adjust? And then, of course, revisiting those initiatives. What has not changed is any of the priorities. So those priorities, 5 years, but want to just voice over quickly some of these targets. So I think the headline for academic achievement, one note is we all know MCAS has not been released yet, so that will be coming and we will set goals based on that. Third grade reading and math have been relatively steady over the past couple of years. So that is that second and third row there. A little fluctuation up in 2023, back down a little in 2024. So you can see we've set goals more aggressive the lower you are now, and then just a little less aggressive if you're already in the 80+%, which is great. 8th grade is really where the focus is going to be in the upper grades over the next year, just given where proficiency levels are. And you'll see that represented in all student subgroups, just that 8th grade. So want to just say a couple things. So when you look at these targets, I'm not going to read all of them to you, but of course, if you are in the 80% range already, yes, we want to hit 87% in 2027. 85% is still really good. And so just want to note as we continue tracking this over the past couple of years, there are some that just have such a solid, excellent foundation, and we'll want to focus on those other scores. Quickly, there were a few initiatives complete. So you just heard about the new implementation of the math curriculum, K through 12. That first year of implementation is done. Of course, that is going to continue, but it will really just be part of the day-to-day operations now and that team supporting that. Continuing to maximize student learning, looking at schedules focused on those 7th and 8th grades, just given where the data falls. And then really the team dug in this year to think about the iReady program and just how can you use all the tools as part of that to really support individual student learning like MyPath, which I know we looked at in July. And then the last piece, and this is very connected to the equity priority, is ensuring that all teachers, not just special education teachers, have inclusive practices in the general education classroom to meet the needs of students with disabilities. And we are very intentional to make this an initiative under academic achievement because, of course, students with disabilities are still often in the general education classroom, and it will benefit all students. So those were some of the major changes here. Let me pause, and I'll just take any questions before we go on to the next, because there's a lot.
Anybody have any questions? I was just going to ask, so when you set the benchmarks for like 25, 26, were they already preset, or do we adjust them based on what we saw in like last year?
Yep, so we adjusted those based on the past 3 years of data. So we had set targets 2 years ago based on 2020, well, not 2020 data, 2021 data, 2022 data, et cetera. Now that we have 3 years of data, the new targets are based on that.
Okay. Any other questions on the academic piece?
One question on the, to be determined under 2024 actual, that's because we don't have, because everything else is actual.
Yep.
2024 MCAS is not being released until September 24th.
okay.
It's embargoed.
All right, thank you.
One other thing I just want to call out here, because we talk a lot about strategic plan driving day-to-day actions of a district and your budgeting process. And I think the addition, one, the investment in the new math curriculum, but now the new math specialist being, that is in direct response to the strategic plan and the data you're seeing. So I just think it's great to see that in practice in the district.
I do have one more comment, because I always have to make this comment to keep it up in the forefront. The part about promote inclusive instructional practices in the general ed classroom, I'm really, really glad that we've got that in the academic piece and not just the equity piece, because obviously it ties together. But as it also goes hand in hand with the rolling out the new role of the paraprofessionals, I think it's really important that we remember that we have to look at the new roles, therefore, for the special ed teachers and the general ed teachers as the paraprofessionals' role is being redefined. We have to keep that in the forefront, that those other roles are also redefined as part of that.
Yep, great.
I'm going to keep saying that.
I can talk to that in this next one as well, actually, something tomorrow. Great. So this is the equity priority, again, focused on achievement for students with IEPs and students who are economically disadvantaged. We, in the past, had used data based on MCAS for ELA and math. And the reason was, that in academic achievement, we use iReady. Prior to this year, the district wasn't able to disaggregate iReady data for students with IEPs or not, or students who are economically disadvantaged or not. That was something through the strategic plan realized, okay, we need to do this. So you did. And now we are going to be using iReady data in order to be closely aligned to the academic achievement priority. We didn't want to be using different data sets for different groups of students, because it really should all be working together, kind of as Susan just said. So you can see here, we obviously are waiting on that MCAS data for the first one, but you see the first 4 goals are all related to reading and math for students with IEPs in 3rd and 8th grade. And then the below there are students who are economically disadvantaged. Same thing, reading and math, 3rd and 8th grade. I think the story is very similar here as all students, where you can see that 3rd grade is performing better, but 8th grade is where things are lagging behind. So those initiatives that we just reviewed for academic achievement are going to have an impact here as well, so they don't live in isolation. So a bright spot I really want to call out is 3rd grade reading for students who are economically disadvantaged. Their actual 2024, 83% of students were on grade level, which is the exact same as all students. So there is no achievement gap in 3rd grade reading for students who are or are not economically disadvantaged, which is great. So continuing on that path. So with that, just one initiative that has been complete related to support for students who are economically disadvantaged. The paraprofessional rollout has already happened, and actually tomorrow there's going to be a professional development during the half day for paraeducators, special education teachers, and general education teachers, all focused on adult collaboration and how those roles need to work together and the impact that role has on others. So very related to what Susan just talked about as well. The rest of the initiatives I'll just voice over are really focused on understanding where are students with disabilities receiving instruction, and is it in the least restrictive environment as possible, so that students with disabilities are accessing the core curriculum by content-strong teachers, et cetera. So there's actually many detailed initiatives in order to get that, to ensure they have those opportunities. So with that, let me pause and take any questions here.
Questions on Diana?
I see the line that says set targets, goals, and actions to bolster the least inclusive environment for students when appropriate. I'm concerned what the when appropriate means, because to my understanding, it should always be in the least inclusive environment possible for students.
The least restrictive environment possible, yes.
All right, least restrictive.
Yeah, and sorry,
also
that's,
a typo.
yes, we will
Yes.
update that. That's not at all. Thank you, when you said
I
that,
even
was
got
like,
scrambled
no.
with my own speaking about it, but yes.
Maybe that's why it stuck out to you. Yeah,
Well,
so,
the when appropriate struck me
yeah,
as well.
yeah, so it's just that, each and every student, least restrictive is going to mean different things for them. So the goal is not not always to have every single student in the general education classroom 100%, but for them to be in the setting that best meets their unique needs.
Yeah, I think it's the when appropriate, because in any student's case, the amount of inclusion may be different, but it's always appropriate to have the least restrictive environment possible. So the when appropriate feels like it's a little bit of a concerning
Yeah.
modifier to me, because it to me implies that there isn't always the goal of a least restrictive environment. And yeah, the typo is still throwing me off.
Great, well, we'll certainly update that typo, and then I think, we can play around with the language, just because I think the overall goal is that each and every student is in what is least restrictive for them, and so we want to just make sure that is clear in this.
Yeah, can I just add a comment? I think maybe instead of when appropriate, a comment, something to do about how it's really geared to look at individual students, so that we don't fall into that pit of the least restrictive. It means everyone should be in general ed,
Yeah.
because that's not appropriate.
Yeah, I think we can say something based on their needs, something like that.
I think the word was supposed to be more defining bolster than anything else. Bolster how? Appropriately bolster. It was supposed to be more of a link to that, I think. But the words in this one got a bit mixed up.
Yes. I'll go back and talk to this team, Maria, to see what they did.
That's what.
Any other questions on this area? Great.
Great.
Hang on.
Social emotional learning. So much to celebrate here. So in every area, and we celebrated this last time, they have either maintained or grown over the past 2 years once we got that baseline data. So again, I said this with academic achievement, like 89% of students, 86% of students reporting they have supportive relationships, really just is incredible. And so you can see we have some the group has sent some very aggressive goals. And so they are going to strive for those goals, but don't want to lose sight of just where you are now and reaching kind of that same caliber. So you can see here, the other two priority areas, you saw some new initiatives, some that were going to be discontinued. Here, this group is going to continue, make some slight adjustments to their current initiatives because they are working. So no sense in changing things up all the time just for change's sake, but going to continue here with what is working for them. Let me pause.
These are, like, the actuals are all based on surveys of students?
Yep, the panorama survey of students.
Does it do we know, take place at the beginning of the year, end of the, which is it?
For the panorama
Panorama.
surveys,
The panorama,
they
like,
do at
yeah,
the
for
beginning of the year and the end of the year.
Do both. So are these the end of the year numbers, or are these
That
Yes.
would be the end of the year.
end of the year numbers? Okay.
Yep.
Okay, that's what I
But
want.
the group looks at the beginning of the year numbers too. When is that data
That
being
should be,
finalized?
they're probably going to send those out in October.
Yep. So that will be data that in last year too, that the group looks at just to see like, okay, are we way off from where we ended the year? Do we need to adjust our initiatives at all to make sure that they're addressing the needs of the current year?
Great. Other questions on this area? Great.
Great. All right, human capital. So here, this was new last year just in terms of data collection. So, and again, this is very connected to academic achievement actually and the equity priority. So measuring the percent of teachers and staff who feel prepared to differentiate for diverse student populations, whatever their needs may be. And then teachers feeling equipped to provide culturally responsive instruction. So as you remember, we've talked a lot and years ago about diversifying the applicant pool. For better or worse, you all have a very high retention rate, so it can be difficult to really aggressively diversify that applicant pool. So that is still an initiative and goal, but this year really focused on how do we support the staff that we do have to differentiate, which you saw in the academic achievement priority area, but also to support staff in their readiness to provide culturally responsive instruction to students. So those will be two new ones this year. Questions here?
Any questions? Okay. All right, next one.
Last one, all right, a lot here. This is Jay's slide. So here we've got same three goals that we've had, so related to the short-term capital plans, the maintenance work orders, and the APA standard of cleaning. So doing very well, maintaining, you can see those targets increasing a little bit over the next 3 years, those short-term capital plans. The preliminary review of monthly, mid-year, and work order statuses that will continue to be tracked so that things get done in a timely manner. And then the APA standard of cleaning, maintaining your cleanliness level, going 2 and 3, measuring success that way. So the first 3, since there have been success, those are going to continue on. And then there is one new initiative this year because it is directly aligned to the operations and facilities priority around the new school building project. So moving it just from the eligibility phase to the feasibility study, so that can support overall enhancing educational facilities to provide students with safe and modern facilities that support innovative learning. So I think that was a great addition this year, 2 years through the strategic plan, everything going well in this priority, so a great time to add something new to support. So let me pause and questions here.
Questions here? More question for the superintendent. I know we talked about a new system for tracking work order. Have we transitioned over to that yet? I know we're talking about work with the town on that.
No, it's in process. So the program we use is called School Dude.
Right.
They just have like an upgraded version. So we're still going to be in that program, but we're going to have additional enhancements that are going to be built out. So we have transition meetings already set up with Brightly is the name of the company now, to get everything kind of converted over. But Christine at DPW is going to be providing us with the quarterly reports. So we'll receive our first one in October, detailing the work from July, August, to September. And we have embedded within these targets, like when we look at those, like the emergency tickets, we want to make sure we had a 100% rate. And the high range ones were like a 90% rate. So we have all those metrics, but we're going to be using the same system just with enhancements. But the work's ongoing.
Can I just mention one other thing? Starting the year, looking at the numbers in the elementary level and so on, and I know this is not one of the initiatives here, but I think it would be really important for us to start some initiative where we start thinking about plans for in between now and when the building is done. What do we do as we get more students and less spaces available? Just if it's not this year, I think at least by next year, we should definitely be starting that as some initiative.
Yeah, just to that too, I requested a report from the town on that West Campus development to just
Okay.
kind of let us know the status and whatnot, where that's at. But I will give you the final October 1st student enrollment numbers when they're certified by the state. That's usually like in the November, December timeframe, but that is on my radar. So we're going to be watching the enrollment, and I'll make recommendations to you as we go.
Great, thank you.
All right, any other questions? All right,
All right, well, I know I have one initiative to update based on your feedback, so thank you for calling that out. So we'll incorporate feedback into today's conversation, and even just your questions are always helpful for the group to consider as they're working throughout this year. The steering committee will work to finalize the initiatives that we just reviewed, develop action plans for any new initiatives, and then similar to last year, if you remember, each subcommittee presented to you just a little bit more in depth on what was happening in that priority area. Kind of similar to what Jay just said, you see some data up here, but that's pretty high level. There's data throughout the year that's being tracked. And so they will come to you with their update throughout the year, and then I'll do my mid-year, I think, update this winter as well.
Just one little piece. I talked to Diana before the meeting, and Diana's going to join the SEL group.
Great.
So
Welcome.
she's going to participate on that committee. So we'll have 3 different committee members on 3 of the different committees. So we're looking forward to that.
We just can't all be in the room at the same time.
I know, I already
Yeah,
flagged
we just
that.
have to coordinate that, yeah.
I didn't want to have to kick anyone out.
anybody have any final questions? All right, well, thank you for coming, as
you.
always.
Thank you
You're
for
very
having me.
informative, And,
Yeah, and we'll get you a final set once we get the MCAS data and everything for those, the last couple of targets. We'll get that out to you.
Great.
all right, thank you.
Thanks, Tessa.
Thank you.
Next up is for, so this is, we just prepared for you some draft goals for review and discussion, both on the school committee as well as the superintendent goals that align to the different areas of the strategic plan work in the district. As I mentioned, we do this every year to kind of put together our priority areas and our focus. It's nice to have the school goals be aligned to the district goals, obviously the superintendent goals, the school committee goals. So this is just an initial thought to share with you. You can obviously walk through and answer any questions. I know, Dennis, previously, like you let the committee members kind of weigh in, give additional information, and then we'll finalize it at an upcoming meeting in October.
So I don't know if everybody had a chance to look through all these. So any comments or suggestions on either our goals or the superintendent goals?
You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, the first one on,
This is our goals or our superintendent?
I'm on the superintendent one. Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so on this one, the first one, one of the questions I had is about, and just tell me if it's already being measured here, but comprehension and I think writing, how does that fit in here? It says the goal will be measured by the percentage of students taking adequate annual growth in AMCAS. That doesn't test writing?
It does, right? I don't.
What do you, I'm sure, not sure what you mean.
So so the percentage of third grade students meeting standards in reading based on, I read it, so reading.
Right.
The percentage of third grade students meeting standards in math, okay? And then eighth graders, and for that is only on math and not reading for eighth grade.
Because these align to the strategic plan academic areas?
I thought I saw reading on that one. Am I wrong?
They had scores for reading, I know, but
Yeah,
Reading and math.
in math, yeah.
reading and math for eighth grade, right? Not just,
Oh, I'm sorry, we have the scores on the strategic plan. It's just, we have been focused more on math, has been the
I
area
know,
of
but
focus.
for third grade, we're measuring both. We're
Correct,
doing both reading and math.
correct.
For eighth grade, we're only doing math. Why?
No, she's on my goals.
Oh, sorry.
That has just been what we've been focusing, I mean, we have the reading as well.
Yeah, because what concerns me is I think the reading is the worst.
No, the math was worse.
Oh, was it
Yeah,
worse than
math-
reading?
Yes,
Well, that's
yeah,
why math
yeah.
was our focus.
Yeah, yeah.
On eighth
But,
grade,
yeah, and, but
nothing
like
was
then the
out.
thing we just got, we did have both actually, so they were obviously looking at both. It's just not called out like it is in the initial strategic
Okay.
plan, just called out math, but it looks like we're looking at both anyways, you know?
Yes.
But
both.
but the priority does say math.
Right.
On the strategic plan.
Right.
Yeah. My
We
con-
we were never like forgetting about reading, right? When
We
we did the
can't.
strategic plan, but our focus, even in the strategic plan, was really on math.
Because it falls down so much by that grade level that what can we do in between? What's missing between third grade and
Well,
eighth grade?
these are just snapshots, right? So I mean, we have the data for every
Right.
single grade level, even at the end of, I forget it was June or July, when we looked at the data, we
Mm-hmm.
had all the different areas, and we looked at like successes and areas of need in all the different areas. This is just the snapshot to kind of align with, as a district, we picked third and eighth grade as our two focus points before the kids went off to high school. It doesn't mean that we don't have the other data.
Well, I know that, and I know we have the data, but I think when we look at this and we look at your goals and our goals, I think that we're looking at what are we going to do over the year that makes us achieve these goals? And if we're not focusing specifically on that reading goal as well, in the eighth grade, I don't want to see that go by the wayside in any way. And because already, yeah, Dennis, if we look back, Dennis is right, the math is bad, but is worse than the
Math is
reading.
lower, the math was just,
They're low. And so, and that's a huge transitional year and so on. So to me, that is such an important piece of information and goal.
I don't want to interrupt you, I just have does iReady test reading for eighth graders?
It does.
Okay. because we don't have that in the strategic plan either, so.
You probably had third grade in there because third grade's the precursor to reading, like learning to read.
Right.
So that's why we had to focus on grade 3 reading, just to make sure that if our students don't have those foundational skills, they are not going to get additional
Right.
skills as they go forward. So when it comes to the 8th grade reading scores, they're nowhere near what's happening in math. So it doesn't mean that we're not focusing on reading, but we're putting additional resources that are necessary in for math, like the specialists. Like we have reading specialists, but we didn't have any math specialists.
Right, so if a student is not doing really well in third grade on reading, let's say, and they're one of the, I don't know, 15, 18% that are not at grade level, then what happens to them between third and eighth grade is obviously really important, because when it gets to the eighth grade, so do we need, by tracking that, we'll be able to decide whether we need interventionists or more.
Right, we would give them either, they'd work with a reading
Right.
specialist, working with an interventionist, and then if they need to go past the tier 2 support, then we would be
Right.
probably bringing them up as an SST.
So that's why I think it should be part of this, what we're tracking, and part of our goals, to make sure that that's also being focused on.
I think this is just linking directly to the.
I know.
So with the strategic plan, academic priority is just to focus on mathematical achievement, particularly at elementary, middle school, to create a strong foundation. It doesn't even say anything about reading. We just happen to report the reading scores as well.
I understand that, but I think there should be alignment between the goals and the strategic plan, absolutely. But I think since there is already an assumption that we're also checking to make sure that we're not losing ground in other areas that may not be listed as priorities. If we're going to mention third grade reading because it's important, why aren't we also, just for parallelism, if nothing else, also looking at eighth grade? Not because that is necessarily the current priority. We could even phrase it as, looking at the data in math and, maintaining oversight of the data in reading at third and eighth grade, to ensure that there continues to be progress or something like that.
So I think the problem then with this goal is that the sentence says by June 2025, the superintendent will complete the strategic planning process on academics, et cetera, et cetera. Is this too limiting, that we're limiting it just to the strategic plan, or do we want to open it up more broadly on academics? Is that what you're asking?
Well, I mean, here's so this, if you go on to continue reading that, it says the year 3 focus on mathematical achievement gap. So this is directly tied to the strategic plan, and those were the areas. We always said we were never going to forget about reading. We were doing better in reading than we were in math. That's why the focus of the strategic plan was on math. But even when Linda does the academic updates or we do the IRA data reviews, we look at every grade level. It's just that I wouldn't necessarily, for like the purposes of my evaluation and whatnot, putting evidence together for you, I just wouldn't be putting evidence for every single grade level together. These are like the snapshot ones we picked. But we are looking at all of the other data points.
That's right. I realize that this is part of performance. So, and we do the evaluation based on whether or not the goals have been met. And we also, there are contractual things there too, and so on. So I understand that. I just honestly think that if we're going to get academic achievement and we're going to be able to move forward academically, that we need to make sure that both of those areas are really a focus in order to achieve this goal. And I'm not saying that you forget about it, because I know you don't forget about
Right.
it. It's really important, and you can't really do math without being able to read well. But we've got to be able to make that a focus so that we return to it. Otherwise, it's just out there.
I would also add that if we're going to mention reading at all, I don't necessarily see why we can't mention third and eighth. It already mentions third grade reading, which already is beyond what is in the strategic plan.
The strategic plan has third grade reading.
The strategic plan does not include eighth grade reading, but does include third.
Yeah.
It reports it, but it doesn't really have goals about it.
Right.
Reading.
Now, what is the
Don't we
reason
say
for
in
that?
the
'Cause-
strategic plan, third grade reading?
We have third grade reading, but the initiatives, the action steps underneath the action steps are all related to mathematics.
Yes.
They are.
And the
Yes.
reason that third grade is in there, because there's,
So-
without the foundational piece, we wouldn't be able to move forward with the mathematics.
Right, no, that I understand.
Okay.
That's why the
That's
third
that's
grade is
just
in
why
there,
the eighth
because
is
they
there,
have
it's
to be
just
able to
because
read.
we're just aligning that right to the 3 data points we had in the academic.
No, I totally understand that, but I think, so for me, and maybe I'm wrong, I see the strategic plan as a tool that we're using to continuously move forward. Move ourselves into the future and make sure that our students can keep up with what's going on in society here and what they need the education for and so on. It's strategic. It's thinking in the future. This right here, this 1 year snapshot of this, of what's going on in the academic realm, I think should include more than just what we're doing strategically to get to that higher level and say math, where we know the scores are lower. This should be about what's happening in the district overall in the performance at these 2 levels. Because if it needs more and during the year, we see, okay, the students are really not doing well, they're not even gonna meet that goal. You've gotta start thinking, okay, next year, we better be bringing in some more literacy specialists or interventionists or whatever is gonna be. So throughout the year, it's very important to look at those data points and see what's going on with them, and then see what the reaction is administratively on how we're gonna correct that. So that's why I recommend that.
I would also add that while I think alignment is good with the strategic plan and the goals of both the superintendent and the school committee, I don't want that to be our trap. I don't want to be limited to only having goals that are directly derived from the strategic plan, because while the strategic plan was developed well and intentionally, it doesn't always respond to evolving needs that might arise on a year-by-year basis.
I'd also like to bring up that I know a number of us have brought up our concerns about reading comprehension and about the writing curriculum, and I'd like us to have some way of just making sure that we're still looking at that across this school year.
That is at the root of my concern. Sue said it.
So you would like it to say what it says, for the 3rd grade, to say the same for the 8th grade?
Well, include 8th grade. I don't know if we want to expand it to do more of what
Writing as well.
all of us has talked about, which includes writing. It's that comprehension piece, taking the reading into, do they really understand what they're reading? And I think this is me, a parent talking, and not really a teacher or anybody who has methodology in this. But I think you have to be able to talk about it, and you have to be able to write about it. And the only way we test our students is through writing. Communication is, spoken word is not one of the ways that they're tested. So it would be the only way to evaluate it, whether or not there's actual true comprehension coming out of this. And it's going to become more and more important as we move forward to have this basic skill of comprehension in education in the early years. So just
I don't disagree with what you're saying. I just, historically, what we have done is tried to, for the goals, because again, we can't do everything, right?
I understand.
So our focus has been primarily on math. It doesn't mean that we stopped doing the other initiatives, but we had done a literacy adoption. We have that in place. That's why at the elementary level, we're focusing on math. And again, this is just for the last 2 years, this will be the 3rd year, was aligning to those standards. It doesn't mean we're not going to look at other things in the district. We're still going to report on all of the different grade level data for ELA and math using MCAS and iReady. So that is stuff that we're still going to be looking at.
Okay. But if we put it here in goals, including our own goal of monitoring that and so
That's
on,
accountability to it.
right, then I think it's part of what we have to perform during this coming year, it puts also an onus on us as a school committee to make sure that we're tracking that as well. Because from your goals, we're going to set our own. So I just see that this particular part of the goals needs to be a little more beefed up, which might include, it was not a great descriptive way, beefed up, which would include the writing part and the reading. And the reading part would be on the 8th grade level. Writing for me, I think, is really important all the way through, but at least making sure that the comprehension is there at the grade 3. When do they get tested on MCAS in writing? Do they?
They do.
In the spring, it's part of the MCAS.
It's part of the MCAS exam.
It is, right?
It's not part of
remember
iReady, it's
this.
part of MCAS.
Okay.
Right, we wouldn't have, we'd have to wait for MCAS because we don't have iReady doesn't test writing. We have our own writing prompts.
Right.
All right, so why don't we keep going, and we'll come back to this.
Any other areas in the superintendent's goals anybody wants to talk about?
Okay. On action steps, under that goal 1,
So same.
and
Same
the,
goals,
I'm still
yeah.
on,
Oh, yeah,
I'm
that's
sorry.
fine.
Building upon the work of, that, I would think it should be, work closely with both the special education team and general ed team to support the implementation of the newly defined role.
So we're on goal 2 then.
Yeah,
Equity, yeah,
sorry.
Okay, so we're on goal 2.
Yes,
So we're on
yes.
equity, yeah.
Yes, you are right.
So we say it again, I'm sorry, I wasn't.
Okay, so adding both general education and special ed. I think Sue pointed it out in, when we were going through the strategic plan, that it was important to have that general education in there because really the change in the role in the implementation of the paraprofessionals will impact greatly both the general education teachers and the special ed teachers in the redefinition.
I think this is just a wording thing. Like, the special education team is basically the special ed, like, administrators that are part of the focus group that we have working on this. It really isn't a general ed team. We just have general ed teachers throughout the district, obviously, that are going to be working with us. The wording on this one, again, aligns to the strategic plan work, but it's working with that special ed team, primarily the 2 Amy's, the special ed chairs, as well as there was a working group we put together that's going to meet over the course of the year to monitor how this is going. That does have teachers on it. It has general ed teachers, it has paraprofessionals on it.
Okay,
That's kind of the group that's leading this, and that we just term as the special ed team.
okay. So it includes people from both the special ed group and the general ed?
On the working group.
Okay,
Yeah, it had-
and administrators?
Yeah, but the primary focus of this work is the special ed directors and the chairs. But the working group had regular ed teachers, general ed teachers, in Paris.
Okay,
And that group's going to, again, they agreed to stay the same, and they're going to meet 3 times over the course of the year to help monitor the progress.
yes, okay, because one thing I've come to understand from being part of the strategic thing is that actually at every level, every building level, the principal has a lot to do with decisions that are made in special ed.
Right.
And how IEPs are implemented and so on, and so is this the team we're talking about, or is this a different team? Special
No,
education
the
team?
special ed team, again, I view as the director of SPED, Amy Reese, Amy
Okay.
Matson, the assistant
Yep.
director, the special ed chairs.
Okay.
So there's different chairs in the district,
Yep.
as well as the working group, who again, there's about 12 or 14 that were working, that has the general ed teacher, the paras on it, and that
Okay,
team.
so it's a bigger group,
It's a bigger group, the working group, correct.
okay,
And a lot of their work is focused on supporting and the change for general ed teachers, but there's really no general ed teacher group.
okay.
I don't know if that makes sense.
Other comments on this area?
Not in this area,
Okay.
in the future.
All right, any about social emotional learning? Human capital?
Yeah, I had one kind of thing I noticed, which is that the human capital goal includes a specific, or I should say an explicit mention that instructional staff will receive professional development and training to better support diverse student populations. And there aren't necessarily any action steps related to that. I'm not sure if there could be some action steps, even if it is you know, continuing to monitor the confidence level of, so I know that's listed under conduct newly developed staff survey and analyze results, but I think specifying that we're specifically looking to make sure that our educators are feeling equipped to provide that culturally responsive instruction, and or something to do with how we are kind of auditing the instructional materials we're using, or whatever the action steps are to make sure that that's happening, it feels absent.
I'll look at that one too in the wording. A lot of that also would mean like when you analyze the results, if there is, say, like extra PD or something that comes up that you need, that would obviously be implemented as part of it.
It might even be a phraseology thing where like
Yeah.
that first action step could be more explicit about.
Yep, I can look at that for
specifically
you.
looking
Thank you.
All right. Anything on the facilities and operations? Okay, and engagement with state level organizations. Okay. All right. Okay. All right, so anything on school committee goals? I had a, go ahead, go
Because
ahead.
for me, because they align with
Yeah.
what we would do in terms of the first set of goals, I would then want to look at that in light of whatever was if any of our input today was going to change anything on there.
Yeah, it doesn't, yeah. 'Cause ours doesn't call out specifically grade levels or, in our goal here, doesn't
I
call out
know.
like the other one. It just says, implementation
But
of
it-
math curriculum.
Well, it does say measured by.
Yeah, yeah,
And I feel like when we're talking about our supporting the educational programming, I would advocate for including in that list something that's broader than just the new curriculum in mathematics that has to do with academics. Because it does mention other things beyond academics that I think are important to include there. But I think results of, student achievement, including, monitoring equity gaps in other academic areas, feels like something to potentially include following the mention of the new curriculum.
anything else in that area? Maintaining highly effective staff, anything? I have one that I'd like to add on that I may fit here, may fit under financials, is something that we're gonna definitely be engaged with quite a bit halfway through the year is negotiating new contracts. And I know we've had that in the past. I
Right.
look back, I found the goal from 21, 22, and it was the last time. So maybe something similar to that, because that is certainly
It was
gonna be a
in-
goal of ours.
It was in 2021.
21,
Is that a
22.
goal or an action step under this goal?
It was, it would be it would be an action step on this goal, yeah.
Okay, that's what I was thinking like that.
And it could be here or financial, I don't know which one.
Yeah.
But I know we have that in the past, and,
I'll look.
okay.
To negotiate the contract, right?
Yeah, because that's certainly gonna be something we're gonna be engaged with.
Yeah.
And then, anything maintaining aligned financial facilities? Again, something here, I don't know if something about the new building project, just keeping updated on,
Well, number
Progress.
3 seemed to include that. That's what I was wondering at
yeah,
least.
on progress of that, and just so.
We could be more, it does, we could be more explicit. if
Yeah,
you'd
more
like to.
explicit than that, and just for our advocacy of that, too, with,
Yeah.
education, advocacy to, I'll go over stuff with you, but something like that. So,
I can better
Okay.
word that in 3.
Yep. Uh,
Is it okay to go back for a second
Yeah.
on the highly effective staff?
yeah,
Is the goal here just to have a diverse, not just, that's a lot to accomplish, a diverse student staff that meets, mirrors our own students? Is that the goal here, the simple goal, or is the goal to have highly effective staff, period?
I think it's both and is how I
Both?
interpreted it.
Okay. So if it's both, the other thing I think is important, and we already started having a discussion of this at the school committee, was we did the professional development, and we looked at that whole thing. But as we've been hearing, we have a lot of new staff and so on. So maybe another action step might be to evaluate and make sure our mentoring program is as good as it can be for,
It
to
might
meet the
fit
staff
into number
needs.
one, though, with the teacher preparation programs, that would include
Yeah, could be
mentorship.
part of that.
Yeah, that really is part of,
Yeah, okay, and add in that.
yeah.
Well, I think mentorship is our in-house teacher preparation.
Yeah,
program, in
I
a
feel
way.
like it goes beyond liaising with
It
existing
does.
teacher prep programs and more about what's happening in-house.
Okay,
I think that you made a point, though, because that's part of maintaining that staff, you know? Not only how do we attract new people, but how do we maintain the ones we have? And so a mentorship program can be a big piece of that.
But I'm thinking beyond even the mentorship program, right? Like I'm thinking it's a lot of the other PD things we learned about last month feel like they're not all about mentorship, right? But they're all folded into, I think, something that we can have as a goal, which is to continue to review what the district is doing to support the ongoing maintenance and strengthening of the faculty we have.
Actually, that would include a mentoring program, so that's kind of a broader way to include that.
And I think the end result of good programs like these attract more people. So in the end, your goal is met, you know, because people will apply to districts and want to be in districts where they feel supported and they can both transition in well and remain there and continue to grow. So I think the goal in the end gets met if both of those are good programs. And we saw that you've got quite a bit going on in professional development.
all right, anything else in financial or policy?
I feel like the policy one is broad enough to cover
Yeah,
just about anything that might arise, yeah.
at some point, we will sit down with the policy subcommittee and kind of look at if there are any big changes. I don't think that, like, last time we did it, there were some big changes, especially on the financial side. It doesn't look like a lot, but we definitely.
There was a lot coming out of COVID and everything
Yeah.
that had to be
Right.
adjusted.
We can, we can review though and see and then bring back any maybe changes to what we have already.
Sure.
That shouldn't be too bad. Okay. All right, anything else anybody would like to add or comment on? All right, so we'll kind of work on these.
Yeah, I'll work on some drafts with Linda and then get them out to you, so you have plenty of time to read before the next meeting. And then if you feel it's appropriate, we'll put it back on and go from there.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Next up tonight is, I'm going to actually ask Joanna for a budget transfer.
Thank you. There's a memo in your packet tonight, and I'm requesting 2 budget transfers as part of the fiscal year 2025 budget. The first one is a budget transfer from the salary reserve lane change account. We had one line item of budgeted of $171,049 to account for lane changes for employees who achieved a higher degree. So going from a bachelor's to a master's or a master's to a master's plus 30. So we've learned about all the employees. There were 29. It's quite an achievement for these teachers to advance. And this transfer is moving $146,942 out of the one account for the lane changes into the different salary accounts where the labor's actually recorded. And this, the employee's new salary was reflected in their first pay date of the school year.
Anybody have any questions on this?
More of just a clarification. So basically, it's taking money from this kind of big pool for any lane changes that might come up and just allocating it to the appropriate places.
Exactly.
Got it.
And can I ask something? So this amount is 1 month's worth of,
It's the full year.
that it takes for each month, the lane change,
It's an annual figure.
it's an annual figure.
That's the difference between what they were making to what their new salary is.
For
That's,
the lane change.
yeah.
Increases the
their
budget by
step-
that much in that line item.
Right.
Well, yes, correct. We had increased it already, but we put it in one line Now, because we don't know if people are going to achieve the degree or not at the time we have to put the budget together. Now we know because they produce transcripts. So we have to go sprinkle the money into the proper salary accounts. So that's what we're doing.
So these lines are just the different categories of what kind of teachers they are.
Correct. And like what location they're in.
Yeah.
Right.
Congratulations to them all. This is great.
All right, other questions? Okay, we'll take a motion.
I make a motion to approve the 2 budget transfers as presented.
Oh, just the first one, we're just
Lane
doing the.
changes?
We're just doing the one for the,
Oh, let me say it then.
at the bottom of that.
I'm going to revise my motion. I make a motion for the lane changes, CHS art rooms, and CHS science lab renovations, transfers.
Nope, we're doing the lane changes first, so the one on the bottom of this right here, the red.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
I recommend the school committee vote to approve this FY 2025 local operating budget transfer of $146,942 from the salary reserve lane change account to the various labor accounts as presented.
I'll second.
Second, okay. Any other questions? Okay, we'll do a little roll call. Diana?
Aye.
Susan?
Aye.
Maria?
Aye.
Aye, 4-0.
The second budget transfer is requesting a shift of budget funds from an account we plan to be favorable, which was the retirement sick leave buyback account, to the local capital land and buildings account. And this budget transfer is to account for a little more work that we did over the summer in the CHS art rooms and the CHS science lab renovations. And the amount is $27,758. I'd like to just remind you why you are going to be favorable in the retirement sick leave buyback account. We budget for this to pay it out in July of every year. But if we have a little bit of favorable variance in June, we pay it in June, and then therefore we did that. You approved that in fiscal 2024. So we expect this account to be a little bit favorable this year for those that we paid in June rather than July.
Those are covered last fiscal year, in other words.
Right, and remember, we're going to pay these again in January. A retiree has a choice of when they want to receive the funds, and that has to do with tax reasons that they make on their own.
Any other questions on this one?
No, just one comment. The rooms looked wonderful.
They did, actually.
Yeah.
All right, I'll take a motion.
Here comes the art rooms. I recommend the school committee vote to approve the FY 2025 local operating budget transfer of $27,758 from the account noted to the total capital land and buildings account as presented.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, any other questions? All right, Diana?
Aye.
Susan?
Aye.
Maria?
Aye.
Aye, 4-0.
Thank
Very
you.
much. Thanks, Joanna. Item number 6 is the personnel report, and this is the big one because this documents all the activity we had throughout the course of the spring for individuals who actually started working for us on the first day of school. A lot of these people were obviously hired through the spring and early summer, but they have an effective date of 8/26 because that was the first day that they report to work. But this is just a detailed listing of all of the new staff hired to the district, and as you can see, we've hired quite a few. We had a handful of resignations since the end of the school year. This also captures people who left at the end of June as well. They didn't necessarily leave just at the start of the school year. That's why the effective date's 6/12. And then we had a couple, actually, we had a retirement, and then just a few people who already work for us who just changed jobs in the district. So that's documented for you as well. This is just to give you a sense of the movement of staff and the welcoming of new staff to the district.
Any questions on personnel? Are we all set with psychologists? Are we all on board?
Yeah, and I didn't know the exact date, but the last psychologist did start at Center last week.
Okay.
So we were able to hire 3, and good to see you guys. Thank you for coming.
Thank
Nice to meet you. Oh, okay.
We'll have to hurry up so we can get some pizza.
So the last one came on board last week. So that one was hired, and we actually hired our last teacher as well to fill in a life skills position at center. So we're fully staffed as far as all of our professional staff in the district. And we've actually had a number of para professional openings, I mentioned, but we've had a good number of hires over the course of this last week to 2 weeks. So we're in very good shape on that front as well.
Okay. Any other questions on personnel? Okay.
Moving along, next, so this is a packet that we're going to receive quarterly from Valley Collaborative. So Valley is our special ed collaborative. I serve as your rep on the board there. Under the regulations with collaboratives, they have to make sure that they're sharing information with their member districts, so we're one of the member districts. So Chris Scott is going to put a packet together for us that has Valley's quarterly updates, information on different programs that may come up, if there were any changes to budget or items, to make sure that all the different school committees are kept apprised of what's happening at their collaboratives. So this is just the quarterly report from Chris detailing all the activity through the last quarter of fiscal '24. So what we'll do is just to vote to accept the report as a report of progress and place it on file.
Do we have an idea, are we gonna get money back from last year from them again?
Yeah, we are getting money back from last year. The board will meet again at the end of November. They're just doing their closing of the books, and they're being audited to have everything closed.
Yeah.
So we have a ballpark idea what the number's going to be, but we'll have the final number in November. But it's in line with what we had budgeted.
Remember, this year we budgeted for a credit because we knew. So right now, I think there's 300,000
Okay.
in the 2025 budget, and then see where.
Right.
Great.
So we should be in good shape on that front.
All right, I'll take a motion to accept this.
Okay, I make a motion that we accept the quarterly report dated September 12, 2024 from Valley Collaborative.
I'll second.
Okay. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
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 4-0.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
And last for me tonight, just the approval of 2 field trips. McCarthy Middle School, 7th and 8th grade student leaders going to a leadership conference on October 16th in Manchester, New Hampshire. Not overnight, but it's out of state. And then Parker Middle School, grade 5 students going to the McAuliffe Shepherd Discovery Center in Concord, New Hampshire. They cannot all go together. There's too many. There's not enough buses. So they're splitting it up over 4 different days, different teams going each day. And those are dates in November. Again, they're just day trips, but they are in New Hampshire, so that's why they're coming before you. So I'd recommend approval.
Okay.
Do the first one.
I move that we approve the McCarthy Middle School Student Leadership Field Trip to New England League of MS Students Leadership Conference.
Okay, in Manchester, New Hampshire.
It's in Manchester, New Hampshire.
I'll second.
Okay, so all those in favor?
Aye. Okay, second is, I move that we accept the field trip by Parker, grade 5 students to the McAuliffe Shepherd Discovery Center. And what date is that?
This is a couple.
There's 4 dates in November.
Okay, there you go.
12, 19, 21, and 26th
Okay,
in Concord, New Hampshire.
I will
Perfect.
second that as well.
All right, all those in favor?
aye.
Aye. Okay, both approved.
Wow, everything's in New Hampshire, huh?
We'll be very excited.
All right,
Thank you very much.
okay. That's it, right?
Yes.
All right, anybody have any liaison reports?
A quick one.
I have one.
I was at the Harrington School PTO meeting on Wednesday. They've got a really good group this year, a big board, and a lot of people attended in person and through Zoom, so I was really glad to see that. A lot of things coming up for the year. One of them tomorrow is they have one of their Dine to Donate days at Papagino's tomorrow, since it's their release day. Anyone who wants after school, get your lunch or dinner at Papagino's and mention Harrington School, and they'll get some money on that. And then when you're finished at Papagino's, then you can head over to Chelmsford Elks to get your free ice cream, because the strategic plan steering committee has their kickoff event tomorrow evening at the Elks and
5:30.
Good. What time?
5:30 PM. They're doing that. And then just another aside, kind of a good news on the strategic plan work that I'm doing for the town. I have a meeting set up the end of next week with the 8th grade student government at McCarthy, and we're going to do a meeting in the box with them to give them an opportunity to voice their feelings and opinions about what they hope for the future of Chelmsford. So I'm really looking forward to doing that and
that's
giving them
great.
an opportunity to feel like their voices really matter in the town and make them feel like, true student leaders. So I'm looking forward to that.
That's terrific. Central PTO met, and I attended that meeting on September 11th. The next one is November 13th. There's a lot in store for the next couple of months. They have their Spirit Wear store ongoing. They have an opt-in student directory that they put together every year. That's in the process right now. They have Picture Day scheduled for October 21. They have a big ice cream social coming up October 10th, 5 to 7 in 2 shifts. And it's free this year. Their trunk or treat is October 19th from 1 to 3. Those are all coming. And their rain date is October 26th. And then Recycle Day for them, which is with McCarthy, will be November 2nd. They have all board positions filled, 2 co's in each one of the positions. They always do that, and it works really well for them. They have volunteer signups, a Facebook page, and the Center School Facebook group page as well. And they have a PTO website that people can check. The report was that there are 486 enrolled students, 5 sections at each grade level except for grade 2, and a lot of new staff members, including they were very happy that the psychologist was on board.
Okay. Anybody else?
I haven't met with any of mine since then, but I did just want to take this chance to spread the word that the first PTO meeting for the year for McCarthy and Parker has been postponed. It's now going to be held on Thursday, October 10th at 6:30 at the McCarthy Library rather than this Thursday due to a variety of conflicts.
Yeah, and Alumni Association tentatively is meeting on the 25th, so just waiting to hear back if that's definite or not, so.
Great.
All right, any new items people would like to bring up? Okay, just a reminder, on the 24th is the town committee meeting with lawyers, so if you want to attend that, I sent you that email. Other than that, I don't have anything else. Anybody else? Nope, okay. Public comment, there's nobody here, and we didn't receive any emails before the noon deadline, so I think we're good there. So I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I will move that we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.